everybody, it's low carb and keto friendly nutritionist Amy Berger from 2atnutrition.com going live on YouTube for the very first time. I'm just gonna kind of talk for a few minutes because it is, let's see, it's about 10 after 12 on the East Coast here. I'm in North Carolina and I'm just having a bad day. And I've started and stopped this video 3 times. I hope they didn't show up on YouTube. I tried to delete them. Like I couldn't even find them in my own video queue. So I'm like, oh, maybe they didn't save if they're just like 10 seconds long. Because I started them, stared at the camera for a few minutes, and then was like, no, this is stupid, click. Then I did it a second time, stared at the camera, no, this is stupid, end. And I think now it looks like there's maybe 20 people watching. I don't know. I'm just having a bad day. And I'm going to go for a walk in a few minutes when I'm done with this. Oh, thanks, Barb. Wait, I got to move I think this thing is in the window of the chat. I guess there's a chat window. Yeah, thank you guys for being here. I don't feel entitled to be having a bad day. I have depression, and I think I've mentioned that in my sort of normal YouTube videos. I talk about it every now and then. I haven't really gone into detail yet. I will at some point, but you know, you have good days and bad, and today's just a bad one. It's not the worst I've ever had. Certainly I've had worse times, but it doesn't feel good. And I at least sort of take comfort in knowing that at least one of my strategies for dealing with it when I have a day like this is to go for a walk. And it's hot and humid in North Carolina today. It's actually supposed to rain later. So if I go for my walk now, hopefully I can beat the rain. And it's overcast, so at least the sun won't be beating down on me like crazy. Oh, you're in Fayetteville. Hey, Claudia, I have a friend down there. I went through Fayetteville for like 2 days 11 years ago before I deployed. If any of you are new to my channel, I was in the Air Force. I deployed to Iraq for just 6 months, and we did pass through Fort Bragg for a little while. Anyway, now there's 20-something people watching. I can't quit now, but I just wanted to come here and chat, even if nobody was watching, because it just makes me feel less lonely, I think. I live alone. Even before the whole virus thing, I worked from home and I live alone. And lately, I am getting very, very dissatisfied with a lot of my work. Not my YouTube videos I love, my Patreon stuff I love. I've been neglecting my blog forever, which is a shame because I love that. But the writing work that pays like the bulk of my income now is not very fulfilling. And don't get me wrong, like so many people are out of work, or they've lost their businesses, or you know, people's finances are completely upended right now. And so I don't love the work, but I'm really grateful to have it. You know, my income is not in jeopardy, but I'm a world-class procrastinator. I have, you can't see them hanging on the wall, but trust me, they're invisible. There's about 20 Olympic gold medals for procrastination there. I am the queen. Nobody beats me. But again, I am thankful that one of my preferred procrastination strategies is to go for like a 90-minute walk. Sometimes it's eating, which is something that, you know, we can talk about more on my normal YouTube videos. Maybe I've come to realize that that is a lot of why I overeat or eat too much. And I'm not talking about carbs. I don't really get into the carbs anymore. I mean keto foods. I mean like that big old family size bag of pork rinds. You know what? Why is that like 12 servings? That's one serving, like for me anyway. I think I eat to procrastinate. I eat to numb out. I eat to zone out because I don't want to do this work. I eat to forget. So, you know, I'm hoping that my work situation will change for the better. You always have to say for the better, so the universe hears you. Be very specific, because it could change and it could get worse. We want it to change for the better. And so what was I saying? Now I'm nervous because there's all these people chatting. Yeah, no, I hope it changes for the better, and it will be really interesting to see if I do start doing work that I'm a little more fulfilled by, if some of my eating habits start to improve kind of all on their own. And it's I say all on their own. I don't mean that's going to happen by magic. I mean, I still have to take responsibility and take charge of my own actions, but maybe I'll be less drawn to the food and less drawn to prolong my meals and to keep on eating because I'm procrastinating. Like, I can't work, it's lunchtime. I can't work, it's time to eat. That's not a viable strategy. So let's see. I feel better already just talking and smiling maybe, and knowing that anyone out there is watching, because like I said, I would have done this if nobody was here, but it's nice to know people are. So why don't I look through this little chat window? Vermont, go for a walk in a mall? Heck no. Thank you for the suggestion, Claudia, but I'd much rather be outside. I work alone, trying to keep my focus every day. Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge introvert. I actually prefer working alone. Like, I'm on this committee for the one of the credentials I have is the CNS. It's Certified Nutrition Specialist, and it's not an RD. I'm not a dietitian, but it's a master's level. You have to have a master's degree to sit for the exam. You have to get like supervised hours and all that stuff. And so I'm on the committee that reviews the questions for the certification exam. And we have a 3-hour phone call this evening. Won't that be fun? Wink, wink, all you introverted, you can understand. And it's not that being an introvert makes you hate group work. It's just, we introverts really, really get drained by like mindless chit chat and chatter. And if we would cut all of that out and just get down to the business we need to accomplish on this call later, it could take half the time. And instead, it's going to be going back and forth. Well, I think this and blah, blah, blah. Oh, Lord. So in terms of working by myself at home, I actually like that. I think I do my best work that way. I've worked in office situations in the past, and sort of the gossip was excruciating. Oh, what'd you do this weekend? Oh, little Billy has a soccer game. Oh my goodness, it's not for me. And that makes me sound like a snob. I don't mean to sound that way. It's just I am like off the chart introverted. And that kind of small talk is exhausting to me. I can have a very enthusiastic, very lively conversation if you get me talking about a certain thing with certain people. So it's not all social interaction that drains introverts. Like, introverts are just very selective about who we spend time with and how much and at what context and all that. So I don't miss the office environment. I miss certain aspects of it. But what really is getting to me these days is just the nature of my work. It's not so much being alone. It's the like, oh God, I have to do this thing now. And 90% of the time, I will say, once I finally sit my butt in the chair and get to work, it's never as bad as I think it's going to be. Like, whatever assignment they've given me, whatever thing I have to write about, it's never usually that bad. But to get over myself and just sit down and do it, oh my goodness, that's what all the gold medals are for. Let's see. Do you guys know Casey Durango? Some of you probably do. I have a little leftover coffee. This is from her. It says, I can and I will. It looks like it's backwards. I don't know how you're seeing it, but it also says, go keto with Casey. Probably very hard to see. CaseyDurango.com. CaseyDurango. I could even put it in the chat, but she's a dear friend. She lives here in North Carolina too. She lives about an hour west of me. She's lost almost 100 pounds on keto, all after menopause. So it can be done. It's not easy, but it can be done. But she has lots of swag. And so I'm just a big fan, personally and professionally. And I think I want to make some swag. I just have to find somebody to do a logo. Like, I want some keto without the crazy swag. And I also need to trademark that phrase. So there's 2 universities near me that have law students who will help you trademark something. Like, you still have to pay, but you pay much, much less. Or it might even be free, but because it's like a workshop for them, it's a lesson for them, and they have a professor overseeing the process. But the whole thing is so intimidating to me. If anybody watching happens to know an attorney or be an attorney who could help me trademark the phrase, then feel free to email me. You can get that through my website. I'd rather not give my email address on YouTube, even though I probably have already a million times. Let's see who we have. Shreveport, that's in Louisiana, right? Hello. Go keto with Casey, yeah. Diamond medals? Do they give diamond medals? I'm slacking in my procrastination then, huh? Oh. Oh, walking inside Lowe's because of the air conditioning. That's a good idea. That is a good idea. You know what though? I actually like sweating because I think it is good for you. I haven't actually looked at the research on it, but I do think, I don't know if it's true that it gets out toxins or whatever. I could see that happening to some extent. Mostly, I think, you know how everybody's always talking about saunas, and how there actually is research on that? Well, what does a sauna do? It heats you up. There's these things in your body called heat shock proteins that I think when they're, and again, like, I don't really know a whole lot about this, but when they're activated, it like helps the immune system. It does something good. So I can pay for a sauna, or I can go out in the summer in North Carolina with a sweatshirt on and walk and get the same effect for free. So I don't mind sweating buckets, and I do sweat buckets. I don't mind sweating when I'm trying to sweat and when I'm doing something. I mind sweating when it's going to be like 88 and humid and I'm just sitting there outside doing nothing, and I'm a Yankee. I'm from up north. I'm originally from New York. I am living way too far below the Mason-Dixon line for my personal taste. However, the gentleman that I am dating lives in North Carolina, so that's why I moved here. Like I was just saying earlier, I work from home. I can work anywhere. I do all my work remotely. He, his whole life is here. So let's see what else. Somebody said, you're disappointed keto is not working. What do you mean by that, Rosaline? Not working how? You're not losing weight? You don't feel well? Oh, you're from New York. Where are you from? I was born in Brooklyn, but I was basically born and raised in Staten Island, and I lived there until I went to college. And then I've been back a couple of times. My whole family now lives in New Jersey. We've done the typical migration of like the parents, like Brooklyn to Staten Island to Jersey. Let's see what else is in the chat. Lost 40 pounds. Good for you, PG Penny. That's awesome. What else do we have? I gotta scroll up. Pork rinds, yeah. I'm thinking that pork rinds probably need to get added to the foods that I just can't have in the house anymore. I cannot be trusted around them. And, when you're a true food addict, you don't want this, because you say, oh, well, just get the small bag and eat, if you're going to eat the whole bag, get the small bag. No. The small bag is not big enough. I will look at the store like, oh, that's too small. I need the big bag, thinking every time you open it up, this time will be different. How many times has it ever been different? 0. So, I've come to accept that I can't have mayonnaise in my house. I can't have nut butters in my house. And sadly, pork rinds, I think, are going to have to be added to that list. And again, it's like just like mayonnaise. It's not that pork rinds are not a perfectly suitable keto food. It's that I will eat an entire family-sized bag in one sitting when I was just having a craving for something salty and crunchy. And 2 pork rinds could have taken the edge off, but I won't have 2 pork rinds. I'll have 200. So, I think they just have to get added to that list. And unfortunately, my list of things that I can't keep in the house is getting longer and longer. That's the way it is. What's going on in the chat? Lost my period. Oh yeah, Rosaline. Yeah, if you lost your period, are you underweight? If you're underweight, you might not even need keto at all. Just eat a healthy diet. Actually, so Dr. Eric Westman and I are writing a book about this. We just sent the first draft to the publisher. Not everybody needs keto. And I say that wearing a Keto Fest shirt. I know they're going to kick me out of the club. Dr. Westman has built his entire career on page 4, 20 grams of carbs or less, or I should say fewer, but not everybody needs keto. It may shock some of us. There are healthy people all around the world that don't eat a ketogenic diet. So, if you lost your period, you either need more food, you need more calories, or you need more carbs, or both, probably both. Now, if you do have a lot of excess weight that you're trying to lose and you've lost your period, there's probably something else going on there. So, don't take my word for it. Like consult a doctor if you think there's something else going on. Yeah, Rosaline. Yeah, that book is for you. Pork rinds and peanut butter. Yeah, I can't do the peanut butter. Have I tried? I have tried the microwave pork rinds, except a friend made them for me, and he overdid it. They were like totally burned, so I haven't had them the way they're supposed to be, which is probably for the best. Probably best if I'm not exposed to the microwave pork rinds. Working from home really up the mindless eating. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, as bad as I sometimes think my food habits are, they're probably not that bad considering I work 10 feet from my refrigerator. I have a 1-bedroom apartment. Writing doesn't exactly break the bank. So I don't even have an office because I have a 1-bedroom apartment. My office is my dining room table, which is also my kitchen table. And I sit there with my computer and my fridge is right there. So all things considered, I probably am pretty good there. I don't snack all day. Like I don't graze. I'm not going to the fridge every 5 minutes, but when I do eat, forget it. It's why I don't graze, because otherwise I'd eat all day. You know, I try to I know once I break the seal, so to speak, it's game over. So I try not to break the seal until I'm really, really genuinely hungry. And then I don't want to snack. I don't want like little bits of this and that. I want food. I want a meal. Hello from Missouri. Oh, that was the up the mindless eating. Yeah. So, yeah, I feel better already. This is awesome. I should do this more often. I've wanted to do this more often. I'm so intimidated by technology. The fact that I have a YouTube channel at all is a miracle. And so I'm like, oh, go live. I don't know. But here I am rambling mindlessly. I'll stop for coffee. Anyway, those of you who don't follow Casey, she has a YouTube channel. Check that out when we're done. I think it's called Go Keto with Casey. She just tells it like it is. She doesn't sugarcoat anything, or no pun intended. She doesn't splendocoat or erythritol coat anything. It's just, you know, if you're not getting the results you want, probably lots of reasons for that. She'll tell you what they are. I don't know. I still have to do my work. Procrastinating doesn't make the work go away, but I think the walk will be good for me. And I did go food shopping this morning. There's a store by me that was having a good sale on shrimp and chicken breasts. And I can't say, I don't know if you guys follow Ted Naiman. He's like one of my favorite people in the low carb world. And he's got this P to E diet thing going on, protein to energy. He's basically like a higher protein guy. Not to the exclusion of eating any fat or carbs, but certainly increasing the percentage of protein in your diet does a lot of good things, I will say, for most people. Not everybody thrives on that, but I know that I eat too much fat. And most of it comes in the form of condiments. You know, I don't put like oil in my coffee or anything like that, but I'll go a little nuts with certain salad dressings or just certain sauces and stuff that I really like. And I'm hoping that if I eat more protein and just try to moderate, and such a terrible word, right? But not go crazy on the amount of dressings I'm using. Like I might start measuring them out, which I really don't want to do. But if the serving size is 2 tablespoons and the 2 tablespoons has, 120 calories or like 15 grams of fat or whatever it is, that's great, except that if my serving is a 1/4 cup, and like you've heard me say this a lot, just because you're in ketosis doesn't mean you're going to lose weight. And I've gained a bunch of weight lately. It actually has to do with the depression. So I've also talked about my thyroid stuff, and I was doing really, really well for a while. Then I was doing not so well. And this was back in January. My hypothyroid symptoms started coming back, like depression, weight gain, constipation, hair loss, like all of these things started coming back, except at the time I was on a ridiculously high dose of thyroid medicine. And just if anyone's curious, I take both synthetic T4 and synthetic T3. I don't take the glandular. I don't take the natural desiccated. I take just the synthetic stuff, whatever. And I was on like kill a horse dose of thyroid medicine that I'm thinking, okay, there's no way in heck that I need a higher dose. There's no way that I could need more of this. Like, this is insane. And so I did a little doctor Googling, even though we're not supposed to do that. We do it anyway. And I found one article out of the entire internet, one article that mentioned a paradoxical response to thyroid medicine, meaning where you're over-medicated, you could start to have signs and symptoms of being hypothyroid again, where, of course, most people, if you're over-medicated, you have signs of hyperthyroidism, overactive thyroid, meaning you'll be hot all the time, rapid heart rate, you'll lose weight without trying. Hell, that's never happened to me. Lose weight effortlessly without even trying. Yes, please. Yeah, never happened to me. And it wasn't happening then. I was gaining weight. So I'm like, maybe this is what's happening to me. And I'm very fortunate. I have a really good endocrinologist, which those words very rarely go together. Very good and endocrinologist. If you have an endo that listens to you and that really sits there and helps you dissect your blood work and walks you through things and lets you talk, they're not just talking at you, it's a conversation you're having with them. They are worth their weight in gold, except I'll say they're worth their weight in macadamia nuts because we are keto and macadamia nuts might as well cost gold. So anyway, I really, really like my endo. And he suspected that I was over-medicated. And I'm like, okay, like, I'm really scared to try this because I feel like garbage. And I have all the signs and symptoms of being hypo. But if you want me to take less medicine, I'm willing to try. And we did this, and within about 2 days, I felt like a new person. And the good thing about thyroid medicine is that you will feel a difference, usually within about, it's normally like 3 to 4 days, but this was so much more quick. Within days, this is not, because it's a hormone, it's not a medication that takes weeks or months to take effect. So long story short, was feeling really, really good, felt crappy, reduced the dose, felt really good again. That was in January. It's now June. Started feeling like crap again. And I'm on a much lower dose than I was on. So I've been on, but I would say because I started out at such an insanely high dose, my lower dose now is still high-ish. I would say it's kind of like high, middle of the road dose, if the interwebs can be believed. And so I'm scared to decrease it again. But he said, I think you're over-medicated. And I'm willing to trust the process. I've been on a lower dose now for about 4 days, and I don't feel better. So I don't feel any worse, but I don't feel better yet. But I'm willing to trust the process because I hope I am over-medicated. And again, I'm having the paradoxical response. I hope I am over-medicated because if I keep needing a lower and lower dose over time, then guess what? Something inside me is getting better. Something inside me is healing to the point that I don't require as much medication as I used to. And I hope that's happening because I haven't been on thyroid medicine for my entire life. There was a time of my life that I didn't need this. So what happened? What's going on that I came to require this? And so I hope I am over-medicated. Hopefully we'll know in another few days. I honestly feel like the bloating is going down a little bit. So maybe things are starting to change, even though my mood hasn't changed yet. Depression is a major thing from hypothyroidism. And of course, depression comes from any number of things, but it happens to be one among many other signs and symptoms of low thyroid. So, of course, people have suggested the carnivore diet to me. They've suggested all kinds of things. And I do plan to do the carnivore diet at some point. Of course, it will be carnivore plus coffee. Let's not kid ourselves here. But I know a lot of the carnivores personally. Many of them drink coffee or tea. A lot of them actually consume alcohol, whether it's wine or whiskey or whatever. Anyway, my point is, that's why it's been so bad lately, because I think the medication needs an adjustment. And this seems to happen every 6 or 8 months. And you would think, so I've been on this medicine now for about 3 years. Like I said, I haven't been on it my whole life. It's only been since it's a few years. I'm not good yet at recognizing when it's like, oh, this is probably the meds. I'll let myself feel awful for a couple of weeks before I realize, oh, hey, maybe it's the medicine again. You know how they say like doctors make the worst patients? I guess you could probably say the same thing about nutritionists. Like we just, I don't know. All right, that's all I'll say about that. That's why it's bad. But that's why the weight gain too. If you watch my normal videos, I can see it plain as day. If you go on the tab that just says videos and you can see like all the thumbnails, there's a noticeable fluctuation in my weight. You can see it on my face, especially. My face is really puffy. Not so much right now, which is why I think maybe it's already starting to get better. But in recent videos, if you compare them to previous videos, in fact, someone had the heart to point it out. Oh, Amy, your face looks bloated. Have you been gaining weight? Wow. What incredible detective work, Sherlock. Why don't you go work for the fucking FBI? If any of you follow me on Twitter, you know I tweeted that a few weeks ago. Anyway, what was I saying? I was talking about protein and Ted Naiman, and then I started talking about my thyroid. And I will say, thyroid is like the one thing that I adamantly disagree with Dr. Naiman about. Almost every other thing out of his mouth, I'm like, yes, preach. And thyroid, it's like, whoa there, buddy. But I have nothing but respect for him. So I think someone else is talking about him there. Synthetic Dr. Berry's opinion. Yeah, there's a lot of people, it seems that the response to thyroid medicine is so variable. Some people do really, really well with like Armour or Nature's Thyroid, like the desiccated glandulars. Some people do better with the Cytomel, which is like the synthetic, or just I just think it varies. And so yeah, let's see, what else do we have going on? I'm so honest. Thank you. I don't know how else to be. I mean, I don't have the energy to be phony. I think it takes a lot of energy to be phony and to fake. And like, there's a saying, the best sleep aid is a clear conscience. And I don't know how some people sleep at night or live with themselves, but I don't know. That's all I'll say about that. I don't have the energy to be phony. And I'm not phony. Like when I talk about my issue with the pork rind or my thyroid or whatever it is, like overeating in general, somebody has to say this publicly, because so many of us, and by us, I mean anyone in the keto space, I mean you, I mean your friends, whoever's in your Facebook groups and all that doing keto, and us professionals, us influencers, even though that word is like nails on a chalkboard to me, many of us still have our own issues. And if we hide it, then all the people following us wonder, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just fix this? Why can't I just stop eating? Why can't I stop binging on this or that? A lot of us still do it, and there's no reason to be ashamed of it. There's no reason to hide it. And I gave a talk about this at Keto Fest, actually 2018, the year before. No, it was last year. It was this Keto Fest 2019. I gave a talk about this exact issue and how these things are so common. And the only reason you don't know how common it is, and the only reason you think you're the only one who still struggles with all this, is because nobody's talking about it. Everybody's ashamed. Everybody's embarrassed. Which is why I'm just adamant about saying, like, all we see on Instagram and YouTube and whatever is what people choose to show us. We have no idea what's going on when the camera's off and when the phone is away and the computer's away, and we just don't know. You know, some people are perfect and pristine all the time. Some people aren't. I don't know. Wow, this is like the weirdest stream of conscience video I've ever had. Yeah, I was going to get on for like 5 minutes to help myself feel better. And I do feel better, but now it's been 30 minutes. What else do we have? It takes energy to be fake. Yes, it does. My first thought was that I looked younger. Well, you know, I do feel better. And maybe it's the smiling that's helping me look younger, or maybe I honestly do think that all the, just the bloat is starting to go away. And maybe that probably is helping my face. Do I feel the Volek and Phinney approach to keto is the wrong way? No. So here's the thing. I think most of us agree on most things. And I really think it's just semantics, because I know Jeff Volek and Steve Phinney personally. That's not to brag, because I've only met them like 2 or 3 times and we've said maybe this many words to each other, but I know them. I've been following their work for a long, long time. And they clearly are some of the most respected researchers in the world. And I certainly respect the hell out of them. I don't think either of them, they're not into low carb, high fat, in that the high fat predominates and you have to aim for like 80% fat or some type of special fat macro, or you need to put butter in your coffee to make it more ketogenic. They would be among the first people to tell you that that's not how this works. In fact, Phinney often shows, he hasn't done it in a while, but he gives a talk where he's got a graph of the progression of a low carb or ketogenic diet. And when you're new to this, is particularly if you have a lot of body fat to lose, you know, people do keto for all kinds of reasons, totally unrelated to weight. You could be underweight and be doing it for migraines, or be doing it for acid reflux or some other issue. If you're doing it to lose a substantial amount of body fat, at first, you're actually not supposed to consume a ton of fat. It's a high fat diet, but Phinney, the graph that Phinney shows you points out that some of that fat is coming from your body. It's not all. So even if you, let's say you do have an 80% fat diet, let's say only 60% of that fat is coming from your plate and your food. That the other 20% coming from the bat wings, coming from the double and triple chin, coming from the thunder thighs. And I say those words with love because I have all those things myself. So yeah, no, I think Volek and Phinney are not into the like epilepsy ketogenic diet where it's like a 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 ratio. I think they would probably agree that keeping carbs very, very low is the most important thing. But I'm not like trying to speak for them. So I'm not saying this is exactly what they would say. I think that's just something that would be more in line with what they do. The carnivores who drink alcohol drink very, very little. Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm not saying the carnivores like live on alcohol. I'm just saying they make exceptions, you know, and some of them even make exceptions. Some of them, if they don't react, will use like black pepper or paprika. Some of them will use some seasoning. Some don't, you know, some of them have really, really severe sensitivities. So, you know, it's all good, whatever works. Aaron, you've read his book. If you're talking about Phinney and Volek, I don't think that particular graph is in the book. It's in, I can picture the diagram clear as day because it's on a slide that he used to show a lot. So I don't think it's actually in the book. What else do we have here? Are there many different symptoms for a bad thyroid? Heck yeah, there are. I'm going to just drop a link right in the notes here. Give me a sec to get it because I wrote a blog post about this very thing. All the stuff you can watch out for. So there's that blog post on thyroid. And I think, you know, one thing I can agree with Dr. Naiman is that hypothyroid is probably overdiagnosed. I think there's a lot of people who think they have a thyroid problem when they're probably eating too many carbs. But, you know, my problems started to develop years and years after I was already on a low carb or ketogenic diet. So I don't think, and here's the other side of that. Do I think the ketogenic diet caused the low thyroid? No, I don't. And there's a lot of reasons why that I won't get into, but no, I think it was I don't know why it happened. I wish I did, because then I could go fix that. In the meantime, let's just hope I am over medicated, because like I said, if I'm over medicated, then something in me is healing and I require less and less medication, which would be great. You know, I don't want to have to take this medicine. Until I started this medicine, I was in that rare category of Americans that are on 0 pharmaceutical drugs. You know, once you reach a certain age, it's rare to find someone that's not on any medicine. If you go to a new doctor, they're like, "What? Well, where's your medicine list?" Well, you're not taking anything, like not even an antacid? No. So now I can't say that anymore. What else do we have going on? What a treat for a rainy Tuesday. Hello. Aw, thanks, Jude. Hey, Jude. You probably get that a lot. What else I mean, as long as I'm here, does anyone have any questions? I'll just keep looking at the chat. I'm just talking my running my mouth, as they say. What else can I show you that's around here? I could play you some clarinet. No, I'll save that for some other time. I'll schedule that. It'll be live, but I'll like tell people about it in advance, maybe, so people can watch. I take clarinet lessons. I had a lesson yesterday. I've been playing since the 4th grade. So, and then I let it atrophy. I was really, really good back in the day. Like in high school, I was in the symphonic band, the orchestra, the musicals, everything. I play the clarinet, the tenor saxophone, and just random stuff in between. If you play the clarinet and the saxophone, it's very easy to switch between a couple of other things, like bass clarinet, or if you play tenor sax. In my college jazz band, I played tenor and baritone sax. So I almost minored in music. And then ever since college, I have not really played or practiced at all, once in a blue moon. So my skills really, really atrophied. And this gentleman that I'm dating is a very, very talented piano player. And he was always wanting to play together. And I'm like, oh God, I don't want to play. And now I'm playing again. And I'm taking lessons again, because in the same way that a lot of people need a food coach or a diet coach, someone to hold you accountable, somebody to report to, I could practice music for free on my own. I could get a little scale book, a little exercise book, and play on my own for free. But I won't, because if I would have been doing it the past 20 years. And I can't believe it's been 20 years since I graduated from college. But instead, I have to pay a teacher now, that I have a weekly lesson, because when he says, okay, play this, this, and this for next time, I'll play this, this, and this, and I'll practice. And like this week, I only practiced 2 days, but it's 2 days more than I would have practiced without my teacher. That's number one. And number two, even if I'm not as prepared as I would like to be for a lesson, I'm never totally unprepared. If I didn't practice at all, I'll actually call him and be like, listen, I don't want to waste your time. I didn't practice. Let's just, do next week. But even if I'm less prepared than I would like to be, any amount of practicing, to me, I'm getting my money's worth, because that is literally the reason why I'm paying him, to get me to do something that I should be able to do on my own for free, but I'm not. I need that accountability. I need someone to report to. So, so far so good. I've been taking lessons since January, and I'm not back to where I was at my peak, like in high school and college, when I was playing probably 3 hours a day, every day, but I'm so much better than when I started. And the cool thing that's happened is, because I've been away from it for so long, some of the bad habits I had are broken. And it's almost like I'm starting fresh. If any of you happen to be woodwind players, you're probably not, but if any of you play a clarinet or a saxophone or any other instrument, you can get into some bad habits. With the clarinet specifically, certain notes have multiple different ways to play them, like 2 or 3 or 4 different fingerings for them. And I have my preferred ways, and there's ways that are standard. And then there's like a couple of trick ways that are better depending on the passage of music, depending on the notes that come before or after. There's certain fingerings that are more appropriate to use. And I get so stuck in my ways of using only the one that I like, even if it's not the best one to use, even if it makes the fingering really awkward. I stopped playing for so many years that I'm out of that habit now, that I'll go to whatever fingering is the more appropriate one. So that's kind of cool. And I feel like maybe, and maybe this is a stretch, but maybe there's a metaphor there for keto, because I know a lot of people stop and start. A lot of people, it doesn't stick the first time. You know what? It didn't stick the first time for me. I tried keto probably 3 times before I did it for the long haul for various reasons. I wasn't mentally prepared to do it. And they say the same thing about quitting smoking. It's very rare that somebody just quits and they just never smoke again. It usually takes multiple efforts. And there is zero shame in that, zero problem, zero embarrassment to be had. If you are struggling with keto right now, or if you sort of need to do keto, but you're on your 3rd try or 4th try, and maybe you do it for a couple of days or a couple of weeks and then you stop, and that's okay. When the time is right for you to do it, you'll do it, because it shouldn't be that hard. It shouldn't be something you have to like shoehorn yourself into doing. When it's going to fit into your life, it'll fit into your life. And that's kind of a weird comparison, but I don't know, I made it in my brain that like, okay, what's the silver lining of me not having practiced all those years? Those habits broke by themselves just because I wasn't playing for so long. So maybe when you come back to keto, when the time is right, a week from now, a year from now, you'll be ready. What else? Anything new? The Netherlands. Hello. Oh my gosh. Wow. My international fans. Awesome. Judy Tucker, the piano player. Is it Dr. Westman? It might be. Do you guys know that? I mean, I broke the news on Vinny Tortorich's podcast. Some of you know, some of you don't. Dr. Westman. Well, so I'll be right back. Give me 1 second here. Let's see. I don't know if this is going to show up so well on the video. There we are on the low carb cruise last year. So yes, we have been seeing each other for a while now. I kind of have to like pinch myself. Am I awake? Is this my real life? Am I dating Eric Westman, whose work I've been reading for like 15 years, whose research I've been reading forever, who I had on the same pedestal that I have Stephen Phinney and Jeff Volek on, and now he's my boyfriend? So anyway, if that shocks you, it does. But I was on Vinny Tortorich's podcast a few weeks ago, and he asked me about it because he knows, and he saw us together at an event, and so he wanted to give some gossip to his listeners. Appointment with my cardiologist. How do I politely decline statins? Well, so I'm not a doctor. So just because a doctor or just because a doctor gives you a prescription doesn't mean you have to get it filled. And just because you get a prescription filled doesn't mean you have to take it. However, that is absolutely not medical advice coming from me, and I'm not telling you not to take a medication. I think, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. That depending on where you live, maybe you can find a new cardiologist. There are some cardiologists who are actually keto friendly. Some of them are getting well known in the sort of social media world. That's my best advice. Find a new cardiologist. But now, why do they want you on statins? Is your total cholesterol high? Is your LDL high? How does everything else look? There's a website. Let me see if I can find the right one. It never seems to want to come up for me, but CV risk calculator. Give me a sec. I'm trying to find the website. Oh, here it is. Okay. So if you go to this website, this is to calculate your risk. It's CV risk calculator. It is literally based on, let me see what it says. It's based on the American College of Cardiology and American Heart Association guidelines. Like, this isn't somebody's blog. This isn't somebody's, this is based on their stuff. LDL doesn't even factor into the picture. There's not even a space to enter your LDL. There's blood pressure, there's HDL. Let me see what else there is. There is total cholesterol. There's blood pressure, there's diabetes, there's whether you're a smoker, there's your gender and your race, because men are at greater risk and certain ethnicities seem to be at greater risk. So, but LDL, not even part of their algorithm. It's not even part of the algorithm. How big a deal can LDL be if they don't even factor it into the risk? So I would absolutely show your doctor that website that they don't even look at it. If your triglycerides are low and your HDL is relatively high and that ratio is good, you know, you're the boss. They are not your taskmaster. They're not your owner. They are a consultant in the care of your body. But it's your body. You get to decide what you put in your mouth and swallow. And that's what she said. No, like that's you get to decide what you're going to take. And if you don't want to take a statin, I think I think there's some doctors that would be willing, it depends on how friendly they are to this approach. You can say, thank you, I understand your concern. Are you willing to mark in my chart that you've discussed this with me and I've declined, and you're going to make a record of the fact that I am declining the statin? That's maybe where I would start. Just say that just so they're on the record as having discussed it with you, having recommended it, and you're declining, you're refusing, because then at least the onus is on you and not on them. So it's Ted Naiman, isn't it? No, Ted Naiman's married. Ted Naiman's wife is not even that big. She's thinner. My pinky's way fatter than Ted Naiman's wife. Ted Naiman's wife is like a little slip of a thing. So no, it's not him. Didn't know for sure. Yeah, it's him. Yeah, Brett sure does it. Who else? Nadir Ali. If you're anywhere near Houston, he's my #1 go-to cardiologist if you can get yourself to Houston. Christian Assad also, he's in another part of Texas. Eric Thorne, if you're anywhere near the DC or Northern Virginia area, Eric Thorne is a keto-friendly cardiologist. I used to work at a farm in Southern Maryland, and he would shop there, and his mother shops there. It's the real deal when the cardiologist is buying a quart of lard from your pastured pigs. So there are cardiologists out there who get it. Do I recommend intermittent fasting? I find I can control fasting easier. I'm getting concerned I'm not eating enough. So yeah, intermittent fasting doesn't necessarily mean caloric restriction. It's time restriction. Some people end up eating less food because they're just not going to eat the volume of food in that same amount of time. I don't have that problem. Like if you're just joining this chat, I was mentioning earlier that I can eat an ungodly amount of food in a very short amount of time. So it doesn't really matter how, I could do I could do 1 meal a day. And if I melt a stick of butter on my food, well, there's what, like 900 extra calories all by itself in my OMAD. But no, anyway, the intermittent fasting. So this is semantics, but there's a whole chapter on this in my book, actually. I'll put a little link. If you follow me, most of you probably already know, I have an ebook out about breaking fat loss stalls on keto. And so it is an ebook. It's a PDF right now, but I have a whole chapter on this, and it's really just semantics. I do not like the phrase intermittent fasting. I prefer to call it time-restricted eating. And I know it's just semantics, but I was an English major. I'm a writer. I make my living with words. To me, words matter. The way we say things matters because it implies something different. To me, fasting implies the deliberate restriction or withholding of food when you're hungry. I'm really, really hungry, and I'm hungry. I don't want a donut. I'm not having a sugar craving. I'm hungry. Like right now, I could go for a steak and some broccoli. I'm hungry, but I'm not allowed to eat until 4. My eating window doesn't open up, so I have to fast. That's fasting. I mean, time-restricted eating to me is like, I don't even like the word fasting. Like, if you're eating when you're hungry and you're only hungry once a day for 1 meal, or you're only hungry for 2 meals a day, to me, that's not fasting. To me, that's normal eating because you're eating when you're hungry. And at times you're not hungry, you're not eating. I think the reason we call it intermittent fasting is because in modern society, that's just so rare because we all tend to eat all day long, whether we're hungry or not. So when you are deliberately only eating when you're genuinely hungry, it can seem like fasting, but you're not really fasting. You're just following your natural hunger cues, which I think is totally fine. What I don't like is for people to be genuinely hungry and they're not eating because they've self-imposed some totally arbitrary rule, arbitrary that they just created out of nowhere for themselves, that they're only allowed to eat between noon and 4 or between 10 and 6 or whatever it is. And believe me, I see a lot of the negative side of this, not so much the physical. I don't think there's a whole lot of physical downsides to it, unless, and I'll get to your point in a minute, that you think you're not eating enough. I don't think there's a whole lot of physical downsides to it. I see the psychological downside. You know, if you could see some of the emails that I get from people writing to me with questions or who want to be clients, and they feel so guilty and so ashamed if they're eating outside their window. And I was talking about, you know, Casey Durango earlier. She says the funniest thing. She hates the phrase "my eating window" because we're not zoo animals, right? Who has eating windows? Lions at the zoo, where the zookeeper opens up the feeding window and puts the big steak in and closes the feeding window. Zoo animals have eating windows and feeding windows. Humans, are we animals? Yes. Are we zoo animals in cages where somebody opens up our feeding window? No. But again, just semantics, but it's really funny that she says that because I think it's a good point. Now, where I do think intermittent fasting or time restricted eating or whatever you want to call it, where I do think that can be helpful, and this applies to me too, is that it resets your relationship with hunger. And I know I was just saying you shouldn't force yourself to be really hungry for hours at a time, but I do think it's okay to let hunger build for some amount of time. So many of us, myself included before keto, the second you get that hunger pang, you're reaching for a snack, right? The second you feel a little bit of like, oh, time to eat, I think it's okay. And this is what I do now. I start to feel a little, you know, Casey calls it peckish. The guys from 2 Keto Dudes who put on Keto Fest, they call it peckish. I think Casey's phrase is push the peckishness. Push it out. Okay, I'm starting to feel a little hungry, but I can wait. I can wait an hour. I could even wait 2 hours if I had to. I'm not going to die of starvation if I don't eat in the next 40 seconds, right? It's okay to wait. And so I think in that sense, that sort of intermittent fasting is fine, but I wouldn't consider it fasting. I would just consider wait until you are genuinely, truly hungry, and then sit down and eat something. Don't graze all day, you know? And that being said, though, if grazing all day works for you, do it. And I hate to be wishy-washy. I never give like black and white answers because it really, different people do well with different strategies. You know, there's somebody I follow on Twitter who does graze, and she's maintaining like 120-pound weight loss for 7 or 8 years. So there's nothing wrong with grazing if it works for you. If you do eat 3 meals a day and snacks and you're happy with your progress, whether it's your weight or your skin or whatever, don't let anyone tell you you're doing it wrong. There's no rule. There's no law that says you're only allowed to have 1 meal a day or you're not allowed to have vegetables. I mean, do what's working for you, including if that's not a ketogenic diet. You know, if you have potatoes every now and then or bread or whatever, if it's working for you, it's working. Do we have any new questions? Thank you for all your vids. Thank you. Can't seem to get the book in the really, you can't get it in the UK, but it's just a download from my it's a PDF. Can you not download that? Oh, type 1. Oh, isn't that interesting? Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. Huh. That's interesting. Well, I'm glad you're doing better. Well, if you can't get the book in the UK, there's good news. The Stall Slayer book that I linked to there, it's going to be on Amazon sometime in the next few weeks. So there's going to be a Kindle version and a print on demand. So if you want a paperback version, or it might even be hardcover, I'm not sure, but it'll be a hard copy, like a paper copy. And it should be available on like Amazon UK, Amazon Spain, France, Italy, Japan. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but I know I have to figure out like the extended royalties and stuff. So I know it should be available in other countries. Other than that, is there anything else I have to say about that with the Amazon? Oh, yeah. If I don't know why it's not available in the UK. I mean, it's just a PDF that you should be able to download. But if you are in the US or somewhere else where you can download that file, if you want a hard copy, just print it out. There's 2 versions you'll see on stallslayer.com. It specifically says, if you plan to print this out, buy this version, because it's like a smaller type and it's meant to, you'll see, it's just more printer friendly. So you can print it out at home, or if you don't want to use all that ink or paper in your home computer, you can send it to like Staples or Office Max or something and they'll print it out for you. If you print it in black and white, it's usually only like 8 or 9 cents a page, or it was back in the day when I used to do that. It might be a little more now, but it's still, it would only end up being a couple of dollars to print the whole book out. So make it available in Austria. Well, I hope it will be. I don't know how much control I have over that, but I think once it's on Amazon, it should be on some of the foreign sites, but I'm not sure. And I don't know how shipping works. If you buy the print copy, I don't know how much the shipping will be to overseas. We'll have to find out. Austria, you guys have some great wines over there. I'm trying to like explore a little more German and Austrian wines. You're like world famous for some really good whites, but I hear that they have good reds in Austria too. Let's see if I missed anything in the chat. I should end this soon. I have to go for my walk. I love Nadir Ali. Yes, I do too. An opinion on taking an enzyme supplement. Do you mean like digestive enzymes, Cindy? Is that what you were talking about if you're still here? Enzyme supplement. Yeah, if you mean for like digestion, I did some training with the Nutritional Therapy Association a while back, and they're huge on that. They're huge on stomach acid, on if you don't want to take enzyme supplements, taking like apple cider vinegar with your meals, or taking lemon juice. Oh yeah, the Trocken. Yes, Trocken. I know the Trocken Riesling dynamite. Oh, I have to apologize. I just flashed a symbol that when I was a kid, this symbol meant okay. Now it means something entirely different that I absolutely did not mean to do. If any of you know, supposedly that symbol means white power now. I absolutely did not mean to do that. I'm in the habit of it meaning okay. And when I was a kid, we would flash that symbol. It was like, okay. It was kind of like thumbs up, which I know outside the US, it means different things. Please, I hope nobody takes offense to that, because I've done it before and I'm like, oh my God, like that's not what I've been trained to know that it means, but that's what it means now. So I have to untrain myself from using that. But yes, the Trocken Riesling's definitely. Enzyme supplement in massive doses. Oh, for the exocrine. Yeah, if you have exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, you definitely need to replace that stuff. But if someone who doesn't, if you just have, poor digestion, I think some of that can help. Some people take very large doses and it doesn't seem to do anything. But if you find that it's helping, and I'm not talking to the exocrine pancreas issue, I'm talking to just like general digestive issues. If you find that it helps, it probably helps. I don't think there's any harm in taking it. Whether or not it's really going to do a ton of help, I don't know. I think I'm going to sign off because I've been here for an hour, and I do have to thank you because I feel better. The sun is kind of coming out, even though it's still overcast, and I'm still not wanting to do the work I have to do, but I do feel better, and I kind of feel like I'm going to cry because this really helped, and I'm glad I came on, and I'm glad that you guys are watching. The first 2 that I started and then stopped after 10 seconds, I was like, this is stupid, close the laptop. This is stupid, close the laptop. I did that 2 or 3 times before I stayed on. I will do this again sometime. I'm not sure when. I mean, I work from home. My schedule is very flexible. I can probably just do this like once a week at the same time, or just randomly unscheduled. That's so cool that like 80 something of you were just on YouTube watching when I popped up live. So that's cool. But I can start scheduling some of these and just maybe do this, just start talking and then answer whatever questions I see, or just go wherever the conversation takes me. Let me think. Oh, thank you. Are you Giancarlo or Giancarlo? Either way, thank you for those kind words. I like all the smiles. I probably missed some questions here and there, but I don't know your name, but Chow CEO. I love your little reaction to me and my man, all those little smileys and roses. Uric acid question. Uric acid levels went from 7 the month I did. Is CV carnivore? CV to me is like curriculum vitae. Oh wait, you have it up there. What would proper keto macros be for renal insufficiency? Cannot replace carbs with higher protein. I fail on C. What is CV diet? Do you mean carnivore for Arlene? Red meat causes my joints to ache. Arlene, are you still here? Jenny Short, hey! You came on just at the end. I'm gonna end soon. So Jenny Short, everyone, if you see her just pop up on the window, she has provided some illustrations for the book that me and Dr. Westman, or that Dr. Westman and I are writing. She's so talented. So when, not if, when you buy our book, those illustrations are by Miss Jenny Short. And that book, by the way, we have a tentative publication date of sometime in November. And I think that's a little fudgeable. I don't, like, it's not set in stone, but probably don't, I would say don't look for it before then, but, you know, maybe a miracle will happen and it'll come out before then. ESR, can they be raised on a low? So that's the sediment rate, right? So I'm not a doctor, but I feel so fancy. Like if I know what that means, the ESR, the erythrocyte sedimentation rate. I think, if I remember right, it's having, I don't remember if it's low or high. The longer it takes those cells to settle, the better, right? If it like falls really fast, it's because they're all clumping together and it's all right. So they're all clumping together and like, and that's not what you want. That's inflammation. It's blood clotting and stuff. So I guess you would want a higher ESR. I don't know the answer to that question, but I would expect that it would get better, because your whole, this sounds like a cop-out answer, but so many things get better, especially, you know, if you have a high sed rate because your blood is hypercoagulable and it's hyper, you've got all this glucose in your blood and everything is glycated, then yeah, keto is going to help. Can I guarantee that? No, I'm not a doctor and I haven't looked into that specific issue, but certainly I would say the consistency and the quality of blood in general is probably better on a ketogenic diet. So I would expect it would probably get better, but I don't know. CV is carnivore. Okay, that's what I thought. So yeah, so the red meat hurt, and I guess your uric acid went up. I did a video on gout, and I have a blog post. I'll let me put some links while I talk if I can find them. The one on gout. So uric acid levels do tend to go up, especially when you're new to a ketogenic. So here's the big blog post I did on gout. It's uric acid levels do rise initially because uric acid and ketones actually compete for excretion. So when you're relatively new to keto, or not even if you're new, if you're doing an extended fast, or if you happen to just have a high level of ketones, your uric acid will tend to build up and it might trigger a gout flare, because all of a sudden you have all these ketones in your body that are being excreted and they're out competing the uric acid for excretion. So the uric acid is being left behind and it's building up. So it's kind of known that if you have gout, when you're new to keto, you might have some flare-ups in the initial period. Over time, it's going to get better, but you could have some flares. And I think the like Megan Ramos and Jason Fung, the people that specialize, especially in the longer term fasting, I think they notice that people will have some gout flares because they're kind of like reaching a level of ketosis that they don't normally have. I think. Is extreme keto optimal for good gut health? Well, I don't know what you mean by extreme keto, and define good gut health. That's the thing. Nobody knows what this stuff is. Do I think keto? I think keto is fine for gut health. Yeah. I don't think you need a ton of fiber. I don't think you need a ton of indigestible material passing through your colon, but I don't think everyone needs the carnivore diet. Clearly, there's billions of healthy people around the world that eat plant foods, So do I think I don't think keto is required for gut health, but I don't think it's harmful for gut health. And when they say, when these studies come out, keto bad for gut health, they're going off of changes in levels of gut bacteria. Meanwhile, nobody knows what any of this stuff means yet. Oh, the Bacteroides changed and the Firmicutes changed, blah, blah, blah. Nobody knows what an optimal gut bacteria even is. And is an optimal gut flora different in somebody eating 0 carbohydrate versus somebody eating 60% carbohydrate? If you're not eating carbohydrate, you probably don't need as much carbohydrate digesting bacteria. I don't know. That's just my thought. Oh, thanks, Jeff. I'm glad that you have found my stuff helpful. I don't have to be perfect, thank God, because I'm not. Scandinavia, thank you. I would love to get to Norway someday. I don't know why Norway. I mean, Sweden would be just as good. Finland. There's something about Norway that I just want to visit someday. What else is here? Well, that's about it. I think. Yeah, Netherlands. I know you said Scandinavia, but I have some dear friends in the Netherlands who they came to visit on around New Year's, I think, or maybe Christmas, whatever it was. They brought me, and I kid you not, I wish I could show it to you, like about a small bowling ball size of Edam cheese. It is some of the most incredible cheese I've ever had. You had to like crack it open. Oh my God, it was so good. And I learned, if anyone here is watching from the Netherlands, I learned that the way we say Gouda in America, the cheese, Gouda, it's Gouda. They call it Gouda. I think they even have that like I'm Jewish, that sort of Hebrew Gouda cheese, or maybe they just say Gouda. I don't know, but we're so uncouth here in the States, we call it Gouda. All right, I am going to quit now, but thank you guys. Really, I feel better now. This doesn't change my work situation. I still don't like that work and I still have to get some of it done, but I'm going to go for my walk. And you really cheered me up. Thank you so much. I will be live again sometime. I don't know when, but enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Some of you are in Europe where it's like nighttime now. So enjoy your evening or enjoy your afternoon, your morning, wherever you are. It is Gouda, Howda. Yes, either way. You have to roll the G. Oh, it is a roll G. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Lesson learned. Oh, man. All right, let's do the keto without the crazy world tour. And I'll just come to each country and eat. I'll just eat the Dutch cheese, and I'll have the Norwegian will have like sardines or something. I'll even choke down some cod liver oil if you guys still eat that up there. Anyway, okay, I'll see you next time, guys. Thank you so much. Take care. I'm going to quit.